Hey guys, and welcome back to another ETHIX product overview, and today we're going to be talking about this little guy. So this is the Mr. Steele Ear Bud. Now this is an earbud specifically designed for audio coming from a drone to the pilot so that he has another sense rather than just having a visual cue on the aircraft itself, i.e. being able to see what the drone sees, but also being able to hear what the drone hears. Now, how would you say, how do you get that on the drone? How do you get a microphone on the drone? And, why would you want to hear audio? Well, so first of all, audio on the drone can be fairly difficult. There are a lot of things out there like video transmitters that have a mic built in. There are a lot of cameras out there. For example, the Runcam Swift 2 has a microphone built into it, and all of these things can offer audio out, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to have that audio on the receiving side so that you can actually hear it. So most of the time there will be mics on your quad and you don't even know because there's a mic attached to your video transmitter, but you just don't have something to hear it with. Now, on my particular builds, there is an audio situation on the board itself. As far as the Mr. Steele PDB, there is a microphone on board that has a very dynamic mic. So it's actually got a dynamic filter on it. When it hears something loud, it cuts the dB so that you don't hear that super loud noise. It actually is a dynamic mic. It adjusts based on how loud the audio is. Now, when you're talking about on the receiving side, we just talked about, how the audio gets on the quad, but we're talking about the receiving side. Obviously, why would you want it? Why do you want to hear what the drone hears? So when I talked about earlier, you can see what the drone sees, but now you're being able to hear what the drone hears. Well, I can tell you a few examples of why you possibly would want audio on the quad. One of which, if you're at a large racing event or you're at a flying event where you're flying with other people and you hear other audio cues, as in other people's quads flying around, it can get disorienting sometimes. If you're flying close to yourself, or maybe you're really far away and one of your friends buzzes you and he's like blipping the throttle, it's really loud, it can be very distracting. Where if you have an audio cue in your ear, you're like, oh well, I know my quad's doing what it's supposed to be doing because I can hear what it's doing. The other application would probably be long range, and this is probably one of the scariest things that I personally had happen, is if you're flying long range and you blip the throttle and nothing happens for about 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden you hear the throttle respond. Well, obviously audio and video are traveling back from the quad at the speed of light, where the audio from the actual quad is traveling at the speed of sound, so it takes a little bit longer for the sound to get to you. So when you do something in the aircraft and you see it visually, it takes a second for you to actually audibly hear that maneuver. And that can be slightly and sometimes extremely disorienting and not give you very much confidence in your gear or in the aircraft itself, because it's all delayed and it doesn't inspire confidence. So anyways, on the receiving side, this earbud gives you that ability to be able to hear what the quad is. Now, it's not super complex. You got a 3.5 millimeter jack on one side that plugs into the bottom of your Fat Sharks or whatever goggles you have that are supported with audio. Some of them do support, some of them don't support. All Fat Sharks do support audio. 3.5 millimeter jack, you plug it in the bottom here. It's at a 90-degree angle. Now, why is it at a 90-degree angle? Because when you put your Fat Sharks in the case, that 90-degree angle helps with them not having this huge thing sticking out the bottom and ultimately bending and breaking your earbud, but also keeping your goggles up at an angle and putting a lot of pressure on the 3.5 mil jack. So the 90-degree angle helps a lot with that. Then also you have it cut to a specific length. You don't need this huge long earbud going around and then you're only using one. Yes, you can take earpods from an old iPhone that has a 3.5 mil jack and you can use them, but only one channel is going to come through. Depending on your transmitter, depending on whatever you're using as far as your goggle module, you might not be able to receive the right channel. It may transmit on left, and you may have a receiver that receives on right, and it just doesn't work. Well, we have merged the two channels together so that you get left and right audio in one earphone, so that obviously whatever your module is receiving is able to pass through this speaker and get to your ear. Now, the last thing about this speaker or this ear pod or whatever you want to call it, the earbud, that's going to make it special is the fact that this can size and also how the audio sounds. So the speaker and inside this particular can gives you a very kind of dynamic sound. Like paired up with my microphone that's on my PDB, the Mr. Steele PDB, it ultimately gives me the best sound that I could get. And I had gone through many prototypes to get this particular sound because at the end of the day, the first microphone that I used was an actual Apple one that I modified, and then after that I went to a Beats, an older Beats EarPod, or little ear, whatever you call this, earbud. And then I really liked that sound. It was like kind of a neutral sound. It didn't give you a lot of wind noise, it gave you a lot of prop noise. And the prop noise is ultimately what you want to hear, because you want to hear what the quad's doing. You don't want to hear just a bunch of noise from the wind going over the microphone. So that has to do with how you set up the microphone as well. But also there's a certain frequency that this particular speaker gives you in your ear that I think is the best possible thing for, you know, what you're dealing with here, which is, you know, a low cost earphone, and, you know, modifying it specifically to work with, you know, Fat Shark goggles. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is have good quality audio coming from the drone, and this EarPod or earbud does it very, very well. So if you have any questions or you have any comments, if you have experience with this particular product and you would like to talk about it in the comment section below, please feel free to do so. And if you want to, you can check out ethicsltd.com and check out our products section, and you'll be able to find cool products like this. And also we have a lot of other cool products as well. So I hope to see you guys in the future, and happy flying, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.